We're on site here in Geyserville. We're gonna make bokashi. We've got some wheat bran, we've got molasses, and we've got EM technology working with us. I'm Brian, this is Simran, and we're gonna show you just how simple it is. Simran has got some molasses sitting here in front of him, and we're gonna mix it up with the EM. Simran?
Thank you, Brian. This is the Regenerative Earth series. Today, we're using EM-1, effective microorganisms, which are a combination of anaerobic and aerobic microbes. Beneficial microorganisms, synergistic microorganisms that are both present in the process of beer, wine, and cheese fermentations. So today we'll be doing a fermentation of our own. Right here in this concoction, I have equal parts molasses and equal parts EM, which represents effective microorganisms. The molasses feeds the EM, and with them, we ferment whatever it is that we're going to ferment. Today we're going to be fermenting wheat, or wheat bran, mill-run wheat. This here is a liberal dose of EM for the amount of substrate that we're using today. That was 6 ounces of EM, 6 ounces of molasses, 5 gallons of water. We're actually not going to use all of this water, be it that we have 50 pounds of mill-run wheat. This ratio calls for about 30 to 40% moisture by volume. There's a good bit of leeway there, so again, we're going to illustrate how easy it is to make bokashi. Now, for 60 pounds of mill-run wheat or wheat bran, I would use about a 5-gallon bucket. So for 50 pounds, I guess that would be about 4 gallons that we'll be using. I used, like I said, 6 ounces of EM, 6 ounces of molasses, and now we're going to be doing this 50-pound bag. I've used 6 ounces of EM, 6 ounces of molasses for a 55-gallon drum full of wheat bran and gotten it great fermentation. I've heard of 1 ounce of EM, 1 ounce of molasses to a 55-gallon drum. I've heard of them getting wonderful fermentations. Same microbial counts, as a matter of fact. I've heard of even further people using a half of an ounce of EM, a half an ounce of molasses to 1 cubic yard of material, wood chips I believe it was. So it goes a long way. So again, there's many other additives you can put in to make your own bokashi. This is the simplest way to make backyard bokashi that's great for your garden, great for your own kitchen scraps if you want to learn how to make bokashi to ferment your kitchen scraps in a bucket. If you want to make bokashi for whatever it is, this is a good way to make EM-1 Bokashi. Okay, real easy. There's 1 5-gallon bucket. 2 5-gallon buckets. So now, I recommend, especially when dealing with a smaller container, putting half in, putting some of the water that you've mixed up with your EM, and then putting the other half and the second half of the fluid, if you will. So half of your dry material, half of your fluid, mix it up. Second half of your dry material, second half of your fluid, mix it up. Many thanks and praise. Brian, you want to do a prayer on this before I put it in there? For all of the regenerative green and blue earth, we give thanks and we give back. We give back and we give thanks to this green and blue earth. getting your hands in it like Brian has his hands in it is really nice. You can put your energy into it. You can really start to enjoy it. If you like to get into tactile things, I highly recommend it. If you're working with somebody with their hands and the shovel, be careful for their fingers. Make sure you save it. Whoa, 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 but so as recommended in Dr. Teruo Higa's book, we are going to
Volume 2.
Volume 2.
The end of Chapter 1.
End of Chapter 1, thank you. An Earth-Saving Revolution. I recommend both Volume 1 and 2 and Our Future Reborn to any of you out there who are interested in an Earth-Saving Revolution and Our Future Reborn in general. What I'm doing here is I'm using the bag that the wheat came in to absorb any extra moisture we use. As you notice, we used a little closer to 5 gallons than 4 gallons maybe. So we're going to use the wheat bag to absorb the moisture. You notice it's 3 layers of cellulose material. Okay, so this part's important. You want to compact it down to get the air out of the spaces between the wheat. This gives you a better ferment. You can also do a smaller batch of this and just put it into, say, a Ziploc bag. You compact it in there nice, and then seal up the Ziploc bag and store it somewhere out of the light. Careful not to poke a hole in it. So the plastic bag on the outside is to keep the air out. So you want to compact it until it doesn't really go down too much more. If it still goes down and it's all fluffy, you haven't compacted it enough.
Very nice.
There you have it, folks. One time, one easy batch, backyard bountiful EM Bokashi. Now you want to store this out of the sun for 2 weeks. I recommend 3. It'll give you even a better fermentation. At that stage, you want to use it either all at once, wet. You can use it, you can look up, there's multiple applications. 1 to 200 square feet in an orchard per gallon. Ounce per gallon if you're doing teas. I recommend drying it if you're making your kitchen scrap bokashi. You want to sift it with like a fine metal mesh, like a 1/4 inch mesh. Sift it out, dry it out on plastic in the sun, or whatever means you have to dry it out. And then you can store it in a sealed container and use it in your buckets as you make your kitchen scraps. So again, store it out of the sun 2 to 3 weeks.
You can leave it even longer if you wish, but that 2 to 3 week period is about how long it takes to get a great fermentation. So now once you have endured that 2 to 3 week period with your bokashi out of the sun and you open it, you tear open your bag, you should smell immediately a sweet and sour, very pungent smell. Most people think it's a very delicious smell. I personally love it. I've seen a couple people who are like, whoa, that's kind of too strong. If you smell something putrid, rotting, you see green mold, gray mold, black mold, you want to discard of your bokashi because it's been contaminated. You've either had a hole in your bag or you have had too much moisture or maybe some detrimental microbes got into your batch of bokashi somehow. Highly unlikely, but it is possible. It does happen. So again, gray mold, black mold, green mold, discard of your bokashi. If you have a white mold on the top, that's just the yeast. That's the beneficial microbes that are present in the EM. That's good. White mold's good. Any other colors growing on your bokashi, no good. Throw it out.
And we'll be demonstrating the continued process. We'll be demonstrating again in the future how to make wood chip bokashi, how to make various nutrient forms of bokashi for fertilizers, and also how to dry it, how to activate your EM, and
Food scrap.
food scrap, of course, food scrap bokashi, and more things to come.